If you've ever felt like you're putting in all your effort into networking, but you're just not really seeing the actual results, maybe you have a pile of business cards, maybe a few LinkedIn connections lingering, but what's it really adding up to? If you've ever wondered how to know if your networking is working or how you actually get more out of it, then you're in the right place today. In today's video, we're actually going to share why it's important to track your networking efforts, how to actually figure out what's working, what's not working, and some practical steps that you can use to enhance your strategies. I'll be sharing some stories from my own journey with virtually centered solutions. I'll also show some tools that can help you stay on top of your game. Hey tech enthusiasts, welcome to another episode of the Tech Fuss Made Easy. And so today's episode is all about measuring success and enhancing your networking strategies. For those who are new here, I'm Tanisha Halstead, and I'm actually the founder of Virtually Centered Solutions. We help founders and small to mid-sized business owners create exceptional customer experiences by really streamlining their processes and implementing more tailored marketing tech solutions. The idea here is that you'll reduce your overwhelm, build some brand loyalty, and be able to empower you to lead with confidence. So we do that through tools like Google Workspace, ClickUp, CRM systems, and tailored virtual assistant support. You're probably here because you want to make sure that your networking efforts are paying off. Maybe you're not seeing the results you'd hope for, or maybe you're just unsure of how to track your progress. So let's dive into today's topic. I wanted to talk about, as we are thinking about how to measure our networking success, let's talk about setting clear objectives. So first, let's talk about why it's even important to have clear objectives for your networking. Knowing what you want to achieve really helps you to measure what your efforts are actually working. I like to say we can't improve what we don't track or what we don't measure. So are you trying to find new clients? Maybe you're trying to build relationships or partnerships, or maybe you're just increasing your visibility in your industry. And when I first started out, I was attending every networking event I could find. And to be honest, I didn't really have a clear goal, but the goal was to really just be in the room. So when I first started, I just wasn't specific. I wasn't setting objectives. I wasn't thinking about was I looking for collaboration partners or anything like that. So throughout the years, I've attended many networking events, but now in this season of business, find that I'm leaning more into finding collaborative partners. And because I have fine-tuned and set a clear objective, it alters where I will attend networking events. And it also allows me to track and see, is that goal being obtained, and in real time be able to adjust either where I'm entering those spaces or the groups that I might be encountering. Number two, we want to talk about tracking your interactions. I know one of the biggest challenges in networking is keeping track of all the people you meet and the conversations you have. Because we could go to a networking event and talk to 20 people, but this is where tools like Zoho CRM can be a lifesaver and actually shine for you and your business. So using Zoho, you can log contacts and interactions, and it also helps you to stay organized and follow up in a timely manner, because as they say, the power is in the follow-up, but we all struggle with it. So when I think of following up, I think of I'm human. And so I have to create processes or tips and tricks around, even when I'm not feeling like it, it'll help to guide me in a pattern that creates and builds those long-lasting relationships that we're looking to build with our networking. And so once I hop over here, what you're seeing now is in Zoho, they have the feature for call logs tracking. And if you are in business, you might be doing it yourself, or you might have a sales team. And a part of the problem is we're talking to multiple people throughout the day, throughout the week. And I'm just going to scroll down so that I can highlight some of these features. But instead of you trying to overload your brain and be able to keep all that information in there, using a tool like Zoho CRM allows you to look at your call logs. Some of the things that you're able to do is add and maintain records for calls that happen, and that could be every call. You can get stats at a glance, and this goes back to the key point of tracking your interaction. So knowing who I spoke with this week, who I spoke with last month, maybe last year, and being able to have some notes to understand what kind of interaction you had with that particular person. And we're not using this in a sleazy sales way. It's really about building relationships. And when we get to having more than one touch base with a person, it's very relatable. You know, we want to get to know beyond the surface, or beyond our bios, as I like to say. So another feature here that I love is if you're working with a team, whether small or big, it allows you to be able to centralize your team's workload. So being able to delegate who's following up, or if you as the owner, maybe you're looking for a status update, you don't necessarily need to go to the person, you're able to see it in this one particular space. So that's some of the things that I love about that. You know, you can use things like adding tags, you could put notes, you can keep track of important details. And if you've had trouble keeping track of your networking contacts, I want you to let us know. I'd love to hear if this is something you've experienced, and if you feel like a tool like this would help you to be able to track those interactions and make more lasting relationships and enhance our customer experiences. So we're going to hop into point number 3 for today, and that's follow up with purpose. And so this is pretty much a great segue because we talked about tracking interactions. This allows us to develop that deeper relationship, and this also allows us to follow up with purpose. And I think this is like where the magic happens, but it's not just about sending a quick nice to meet you message. It's about being intentional. So think about how you can provide value in your follow-up. Maybe it's sharing a resource, introducing them to someone in your network, or maybe even setting up a time to discuss potential collaborations. For instance, after one of my networking events, I followed up with someone by sending a relevant article. It was like industry specific, and suggesting potential collaboration for a small project. Now, it may not lead to long-term partnerships, but those initiative things can actually build a strong relationship where, again, I've always talked about like people being in different rooms that you may not be in, or you may just be top of mind. It allows them to be able to knowing a little bit more about you and be able to showcase you in places that you may not have thought or even intend to be in. And so I want to hop over to my other screen. Tools like Zoho CRM help you to follow up with email templates. We see that with follow-up email, there's some best practices that you can use, understanding why you're sending the email. This goes back to also thinking about what you're putting there, setting a tone of adding value, being of service, being the connector, or if that's not your jam, maybe just sharing a resource that is impactful to someone and may allow them to move the needle forward in their business or their connections that they're making. Inside of Zoho Mail, you can set up different email templates, you can schedule, you can have reminder options. So this just kind of gives highlights of some of the features that are there, which allows you to not just send that one and done or be generic with the nice to meet you message, but actually provide a intentional message to your network. And we want to focus more on relationship building, and I think that takes us a lot further. So do you have a follow-up process that works for you? If not, it might be time to actually start thinking about how you can add more value in your follow-ups. Something that I typically hear from clients is that you feel like you are nagging or just kind of being a nuisance almost. But I think when we lead from a place of service and a place of value with the intention in our networking follow-up emails, then that opens the gateway for so much other opportunity. So point number 4 is measure and reflect. Now, y'all know I'm a little bit of a data nerd. So after each networking event or interaction, I want you to take some time to reflect on what worked, what didn't. Maybe you had an objective or a goal that you were going to go there, you were going to meet 2 people. I believe in quality over quantity. So when you're thinking about those objectives, think of if there are certain approaches that lead to more meaningful connections. For me, it's tracking how many of my follow-ups lead to meetings or maybe new opportunities or collaborations. And it has been really eye-opening because over time, I'm able to see that this is helping me to refine my approach and also focus on strategies that bring more lasting relationships. And we talked in our previous video about using Zoho CRM, or for me, the best tool is the one you'll actually use. So even if you're using a Google Sheet and maybe it has the event, the contact name that you had, maybe you have a column where there's a checkbox that you're saying, oh, I followed up. And maybe there's a column with a date. Maybe there's a column for notes. If maybe your outcome from that was that you got a meeting scheduled or a deal was closed, or maybe you're going to be collaborating on something, that's most important of being able to have a tracker. It's not about complexity, it's about simplicity. And I think having simplicity allows you to build a muscle and allows you to then build consistency where you can dive into those more complex tools like a CRM. So if you've never tracked your networking efforts before, I get it. It can seem a little daunting. It may seem like a lot of extra work, but trust me, it really, really makes a difference. And I hope that you will take away one of those impactful tips of ways that may work for you in tracking that. And last but not least, number 5 is we want to continuously improve your strategy. Finally, remember that networking is not this one and done thing. It's something you have to keep working and refining at. It's relationship building. And so what worked for me last year might not work for me this year, which I know clearly it didn't. And that's okay, because I was reviewing and I set different goals and objectives. And with that review, I was able to tweak the strategy, and it's the key to that actual continued success. For instance, I've learned to adapt my approach based on the type of event that I'm going to. So whether if it's a small, intimate gathering or a large conference, I want to make sure that I'm being flexible and willing to adjust my strategy because, again, I believe in quality over quantity. And sometimes, like say, for instance, you're going to a large conference, you're not going to talk to everybody at the conference. You want to make sure you're tapping into the key players that are impactful and that you want to build a longer standing relationship with. Something that I consider a good tool to use for this is possibly a task management tool. And so when I think of task management, I think of ClickUp. I love to focus on whatever a software product has on their main page in bold. And so if you look here, it says build your work's foundation with tasks. We want to plan, organize, and collaborate on projects. And so that's their main focus. And if you scroll on down, we're going to go to talk a little bit about the feature. So when you think of task management, I love that it gives you multi-layered hierarchy is the word. You can customize it to the way you work. And so some of the things here is being able to customize your task statuses. We use them for different things. Maybe it's for YouTube and you have stages where there's post-production, there is the actual execution of the thing. Maybe there's editing. So you think of the top phases and then you can create those statuses. And then you can do more with your task here by setting priority levels, having custom fields, maybe departments. If we're thinking about networking and relationship building, maybe you're labeling this person as a collaborator. Maybe you're labeling that this person is more of a potential lead. Maybe this person is just a biz bestie. So we want to be able to categorize our network and also manage the task of follow-up. And so this is another way for you to do that for those who might not be ready to dive into maybe what they consider more of a complex CRM. This gives just highlight. And if you've been using different approaches for a while, I know it might be a little bit of a shakeup of things, but we are looking to have ways that we can learn, grow, and have our strategies be flexible. I'm hoping that this was helpful today. Just to give a quick recap, today we covered basically how to measure the success of your networking and be agile and decipher what's working, what's not working. And so step number 1, we talked about setting clear objectives for your networking efforts. And step number 2 was track your interactions using a CRM tool to stay organized. Step number 3 was follow up with purpose to create meaningful connections, I should say. And number 4, we talked about measuring and reflecting on our outcomes to see what's working, what's not working. Do we need to adjust our goal, or is what we're doing working and we need to amplify? And last but not least, we always want to continuously improve our strategy and adapt to new situations and opportunities. If the last few years hasn't taught us anything is possible. So we want to make sure that we're keeping abreast to the landscape of our industry and being able to change that. And I think for me, when I think of that, it's, maybe you're operating hybrid now and you have virtual networking opportunities that you have to improve that strategy on compared to when you're going maybe in person to a small intimate or a bigger conference. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, just a simple like, so that the video can be pushed out to more people that it could be helpful for. Until then, I love to say, stay tech savvy, keep exploring new possibilities, and I'll catch you in the next episode of the Tech Fuss Made Easy with me, your girl, Tanisha Halstead. And as always, I'm cheering you on. Love y'all.